Direct investments will enhance the Philippines' drive to build on its economic gains for the future, while the Aquino administration continues to implement reforms to attract more FDIs. The numbers are from what other countries in Asia are getting on a year-to-year basis. What measures are needed to reverse the trend? Joining us tonight on NewsLife is Assistant Secretary Rosemarie Edillon. She heads the policy and planning staff of the National Economic Development Authority. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
And welcome to NewsLife. Now, to start off, is the country getting a significant share of FDIs when compared to other countries of ASEAN or maybe Asia as a whole?
Unfortunately, no, we're not. For the past January to October of last year, we only had about $1.5 billion of equity placements. And this is way too low as compared to our neighbors who are getting like $5 billion, some $10 billion.
So we are almost short of at least 5 to 10 billion.
Yes.
So what do you think is lacking? What is our rank when it comes to FDIs? Having said that.
Well, for the ASEAN, it will be, so if there's 10 countries in the ASEAN, we would be in the 8th.
8th.
Yeah.
Now, Secretary Balitaan said there's a need to ease foreign ownership limits on a number of industries, which was mentioned earlier. These include utilities, trade, and education. Will this require amendments to our Constitution, or can Congress just amend a number of laws to lift the restrictions?
For a number of these, we only need an act of Congress, not necessarily looking at the Constitution. I mean, changing the Constitution. So we are working very closely with Congress, and as the Secretary has said, we already had an initial meeting with Speaker Belmonte, and we have laid out with him the these provisions that can be just amended by an act of Congress.
All right, ma'am. Going back to what you said earlier in terms of our ranking in FDIs, would you know our target ranking for this year?
No, we have not yet come up with a target for this year.
All right, now one sector, we always mention this, which needs more FDIs, is the manufacturing sector, and there has been growth in this sector last year. Now, if more FDIs come in, how will these translate to NEDA's projections that 2 million jobs can be generated yearly?
We are actually, with respect to FDI, we are looking at FDI for innovations in technology, innovations in management, and since there's not that much investments in the country, then well, the FDI in manufacturing will also bring in investments and the needed jobs. We're looking at employment in manufacturing because employment in manufacturing tends to be the high quality jobs. So this is where the people get regular salary, wages, and the benefits, and also with respect to the working conditions. As it is, however, the biggest employer still is your agriculture, and so what we are looking at really is something along the lines of an agro-industry linkage. So if it's manufacturing, it has to be linked also with the agriculture sector. Because in the agriculture sector, what we need to address really is the underemployment. And that means people are working, but they are not earning enough. And therefore, increase the return for their work, then they probably would not be wanting additional work. And for this, like I said, we need agro-industry.
Now, ma'am, in terms of infrastructure, what do you think, how much are we lacking in infrastructure?
We have actually improved in terms of spending. Currently, we will be spending about 2.75% of GDP on infrastructure, but it's still low compared to our Asian neighbors who are investing something like 5% of GDP. And so we still have a lot to go, but we're getting there. And as you know, we are very pragmatic with respect to the financing of infrastructure. Some of this will be financed through government funds, others through ODA, and others through PPP. So we're exploring all funding possibilities, and we are really very serious at addressing this infrastructure bottlenecks.
Now, ma'am, moving on, can you explain to our people what is the negative list and how does this affect the entry of foreign direct investments?
Yeah, the negative list is actually required. It's a law that actually NEDA comes up with this list, and we are required by law to compile all the different issuances, all the different Republic Acts that has to do with foreign investment. Because there are a lot of this, and so for transparency's sake, we want foreign investors to just be looking at this FINL, the Foreign Investment Negative List, so they don't have to research all our laws. So it's actually not NEDA that adds to the list. We just compile all the laws that has to do with foreign investment. So there are two broad categories of lists. The list A would be those that have to do with foreign investment by virtue of provisions in the Constitution or provisions in Republic Acts or executive orders. And then the list B is prohibitions, restrictions on foreign investments that have to do with they are in the protected areas, they have to do with ammunition, something like that.
Now, ma'am, what about less restrictions on aviation to have more foreign airlines to boost tourism? What is your take on this?
Yeah, actually there's already an executive order that has been issued on the open skies policy. As you know, tourism is one of our priority sectors, and we think that it's also through this that we can generate jobs, especially in the countryside where a lot of the tourist spots are. And so we already have that executive order on the open skies policies. There is the IRR, unfortunately, is not, we already reviewed the IRR, and we think that it's not in the spirit of the open skies policy, but it will be revised so that we will be encouraging more of this foreign aviation, foreign airlines.
So overall, ma'am, how will easing restrictions enhance the country's competitiveness with the integration of all the economies of ASEAN in 2015?
Yeah, as you know, when we get to 2015, we have what we call the ASEAN Economic Community. And apart from the ASEAN Free Trade Agreement, the additional liberalization here would be in terms of the people. And so one of the things that will be affected really is with respect to the practice of professions. Now, Filipinos are very much in demand in other countries because of our human capital. But as it is now, the practice of profession is actually among those in the Constitution where there is a prohibition, but there is a clause there that says unless otherwise provided by law, and that's we're looking at this one. Now we want our professionals, our Filipino professionals, to be able to take advantage of this ASEAN economic community, that there will be more mobility of professionals, and we also want let's say our trained professionals to be trained by the very best, and so we want to allow foreign professors, for instance, to teach in our educational institutions. And if we do this, then we will really be able to compete, not just in ASEAN, but also in the rest of the world.
Right, we certainly have a long way to go, ma'am. But as far as your opinion, ma'am, are you positive we're going to gain more FDIs for this year?
Yes, actually it's the foreign chambers that have been knocking on our doors and wanting to have all these restrictions eased, and the reason for that is they're really interested in investing a lot more in the country, and that's that speaks a lot. That says that they are really confident about the prospects of our economy.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us tonight on NewsLife. That was Ms. Rosemarie Edillon, NEDA's Assistant Secretary for National Policy and Planning.